Welcome to the Deep Dive.
It's great to be back.
We're on a mission today that I think gets right to the heart of what it means to live freely. We're asking, what are these things that sources call underlying tendencies, and, how do we root them out completely?
This is maybe the most fundamental question in the text you shared. The entire path they describe, it really all hinges on getting this right.
On eliminating these tendencies.
Exactly. And they're not just bad habits. They're these deep, reflexive, almost subterranean reactions that just shape our entire reality.
And the outcome. The way they frame the outcome of getting rid of them is so powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
The sources describe a fully realized person as one who has, and I'm quoting, no underlying tendencies at all and are rid of unskillful roots.
Right.
And they do this by shedding their old way of being as a serpent, its old worn-out skin.
That image is just perfect. It conveys total transformation, not just, a slight improvement.
Just reform, yeah.
Shedding that old skin, the sources say it means complete freedom. It means being unyoked from all yokes. It means that person has given up rebirth and death completely. It's the ultimate state of peace.
So the mission for this deep dive is clear. We need to understand the anatomy of that old skin. What are these underlying tendencies, and why are they so foundational that tearing them out leads to the end of all suffering?
Well, to start, we have to see that these tendencies relate directly to our experience.
Okay.
Specifically, how we react to the three basic tones of feeling: pleasant, painful, and neutral.
So it always comes back to feeling.
It always does. The sources say that to end suffering, you have to end desire and greed for what's impermanent. And since everything we experience is impermanent,
our immediate reaction to it is the critical point.
that's the moment, that's the weak link in the chain.
And this is where the sources get so clinical, almost like a psychological map. They identify three specific tendencies, and each one is linked precisely to one of those feeling tones.
It is a remarkable piece of mapping. They lay out the three great unskillful roots: greed, repulsion or hate, and ignorance.
And how they show up is all about the feeling you're having in that exact moment.
Precisely.
So let's drill into the first one. The reaction to a pleasant feeling. This has to be the most common trap.
It is. So you experience something pleasant, a good meal, a nice comment, a beautiful view.
Right.
The sources say that if you don't approve, welcome, and crucially cling to it, then the underlying tendency to greed does not take root.
The clinging is the key part. But what does that greed mean here? It's not just wanting a bigger house, right?
No, not at all, though it includes that. Here, it's much more subtle. It's that ingrained reflex to hold on to the pleasant moment.
To make it permanent.
Or to intensify it, yeah. It's that inherent relishing of the feeling. That yes reaction immediately plants the seed for future suffering.
Because the moment the feeling passes,
dissatisfaction is guaranteed.
Wait. So if I'm enjoying a sunset, am I supposed to try not to enjoy it? That seems counterintuitive.
It's deeper than that. You can fully experience the sunset, but the tendency only arises if you try to own the feeling.
I see.
If you become attached to its continuation. The greed isn't in the feeling itself, but in the mental clinging to the feeling.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's look at the flip side. The reaction to a painful feeling. The sources describe a really dramatic physical and emotional reaction here.
They do.
They say if you don't immediately sorrow or wail or lament, beating your breast and falling into confusion, then the underlying tendency to repulsion doesn't arise.
That repulsion is the reactive no. It's the pushing away. And what's so fascinating is how the text emphasizes the suffering we generate ourselves through that reaction.
It's not the initial pain.
No, it's not just the sting of the criticism. It's the 20 minutes you spend after mentally replaying the injustice of it all.
That whole mental drama.
That elaborate confusion is the repulsion tendency in action.
So, if greed creates a painful future by clinging to a pleasant past, repulsion creates a painful present by, fighting the painful present.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Which brings us to the third one. And I'd argue this is the trickiest. The reaction to a neutral feeling.
It's the one we barely notice.
Right. The sources say if you can truly understand its origin, its ending, its gratification, its drawback, and its escape,
then the underlying tendency to ignorance does not underlie that feeling.
Why ignorance, though? With neutrality.
Because the neutral feelings, moments of quiet, boredom, just uneventful awareness, That's when the mind drops its guard.
That's like mental wallpaper.
Exactly. We don't attach to them with greed or fight them with repulsion. We just overlook them.
And in overlooking them,
We fail to see their fundamental nature, their impermanence. We sort of assume they're just a stable, benign background.
oh, okay.
That failure to see that the neutral feeling also arises and passes away, that's a localized manifestation of capital ignorance. It lets that core assumption of permanence keep festering. And the profound point here, for you listening, is that giving up these three specific tendencies, greed, repulsion, and ignorance, is what makes it, and I quote, totally possible to make an end of suffering in the present life.
The huge takeaway. The problem isn't the feeling, it's the immediate ingrained reaction. But if those tendencies are the immediate reflex, they must be getting their power from somewhere deeper. What's the fuel for this whole engine?
Now we're moving into the engine room. We're talking about craving and grasping.
Okay.
Craving is often defined as the noble truth of the origin of suffering itself. It's that initial pull, that thirst that is always mixed up with relishing and greed.
So craving is the impulse. What's grasping?
Grasping is the next step. It's the active decision to hold on, to build an identity around that impulse. The sources are so clear on this.
What do they say?
Grasping is the cause of continued existence. One who exists falls into suffering.
So if you grasp, you continue in the cycle.
But if you cease grasping, you do not proceed to a future life. Craving is the hunger. Grasping is seizing the food and making it part of you.
And the sources break down craving into three specific types, right? To show how pervasive it is.
That's right. First, there's the obvious one. Craving for sensual pleasures. Desire through the five senses.
Standard stuff.
Then there's craving to continue existence. The deep desire for life, to persist, to be reborn, even in a better place. It's a fear of annihilation.
And then paradoxically, the third one is craving to end existence.
Yes. The desire for non-existence. The wish for it all to just stop, which is often rooted in despair.
But all three are still a form of attachment.
Exactly. Attachment to having, to being, or to not being. It's all the same root confusion. And this connects us back to the grand scale of causation.
Dependent origination. The massive chain reaction. The sources say that this entire mass of suffering, rebirth, old age, death, sorrow, it's all built on a foundational requirement. Ignorance.
Ignorance is a requirement for choices, is the phrase.
Which links back perfectly to what we were saying about the neutral feeling.
It does. The localized ignorance of overlooking a neutral feeling is just one expression of the overarching ignorance of not seeing reality clearly. And that lack of clarity, it leads to choices.
Which create karma, which generates consciousness, and on and on.
Until the entire mass of suffering is built.
Yeah.
The underlying tendencies are just the automatic, reflexive result of this much deeper causal chain.
It really paints a high-stakes picture.
Yeah.
If you want to achieve that serpent's shedding of its skin,
total freedom,
you have to break that chain, not just manage your moods. You have to remove the tendencies by cutting off the fuel of craving and grasping.
Precisely. And that takes us from diagnosis to the cure.
Okay.
Eliminating these tendencies requires a complete spiritual practice, one the sources describe as relying on seclusion, fading away, and cessation, and that ripens as letting go.
So for you listening, let's focus on the practical application. What are the methods? The texts point overwhelmingly to the Noble Eightfold Path.
Yes, that path, from right view all the way to right immersion, is the concrete method. It culminates in the removal of greed, hate, and delusion.
It's the training schedule.
It is.
Yeah.
And the sources have this wonderful analogy to give you confidence.
I love this one.
By developing this path, you start to slant, slope, and incline to extinguishment. Just like the great rivers, the Ganges, the Yamuna, naturally and inevitably slant toward the ocean.
If you walk the path, the result is certain.
It is. And to succeed on this path, the sources boil it down to two critical practices you have to cultivate together.
Which are?
Rigorous sense restraint and the deep cultivation of meditative immersion, or samadhi.
Okay, let's start with sense restraint. This sounds like self-control, but the details are really specific.
Very specific.
A person must not get caught up in the features and details when they experience sights, sounds, smells, tastes.
And this is where the battle is won or lost. What are features and details? They are the things we mentally attach after the initial sense contact.
So I see a car, the sight is just light and form.
Right. But getting caught up in the details is when your mind starts cataloging the cost, the color, the model, and then generating desire or envy.
And there it is, the underlying tendency of greed.
The moment you assign that value, that narrative, you've lost the restraint.
The sources warn that if a sense faculty is left unrestrained,
bad, unskillful qualities of covetousness and displeasure will become overwhelming.
so sense restraint is like the defensive wall. It stops the feeling from automatically triggering the tendency.
A perfect analogy. And once that wall is up, you can do the active positive work, developing mindfulness and immersion, samadhi.
How does that practice build the clarity needed to really uproot these tendencies for good?
Immersion is the method for purifying the mind, for achieving this unshakable present moment awareness.
Okay.
You meditate by observing the body, feelings, mind, principles, remaining keen, aware, and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world.
And this stabilizes the mind.
It stabilizes a mind that's currently contaminated by what the sources call defilements, or these unskillful roots.
Can you clarify what these defilements are for the listener?
Think of them as mental toxins or stains. Things like sensual desire, ill will, restlessness, doubt.
Okay.
Immersion is the process of washing those stains away, making the mind bright, purified, and ready to see reality as it truly is.
Impermanent and without a separate self.
Yes, which leads to profound states of stability and bliss called the four absorptions, which belong to the higher mind.
And the ultimate result of all this practice is?
Yeah.
It's a total shift in how you know things.
It's an epistemological shift, yes. When the mind is freed from the defilements by not grasping the six sense fields.
The eye, ear, nose, and so on.
The individual knows they are free, there's no doubt left.
They understand. Rebirth is ended. What had to be done has been done. There is nothing further for this place.
The work is complete. The serpent has shed its skin.
So to bring it all back together for you, our deep dive has shown that these underlying tendencies are those ingrained reflexive patterns, greed, repulsion, ignorance.
Triggered by our pleasant, painful, and neutral feelings.
They're the core issue preventing freedom. And they're all fueled by this deep craving for existence and the act of grasping.
And what's so fascinating is that the path to freedom isn't about grand rituals or some complex secret knowledge.
No.
It's about achieving this profound internal clarity. It's about actively breaking that link between feeling and clinging through persistent discipline.
Restraining the senses and purifying the mind.
Exactly.
And the sources equate this mastery, this final freedom, with true heroic status. Someone who has done this as a hero, master of the whole world. So if the eradication of these tendencies is the ultimate measure of victory, the provocative thought for you to carry forward from this deep dive is this. How much of your attention just throughout this very day is still being secretly run by the unskillful ruse of pleasant, painful, and neutral feelings simply because you didn't notice their impermanence?